Let's get to it, shall we? Dame Harriett Baldwin, Conservative Member of Parliament for West Worcestershire and, importantly, Chair of the Treasury Select Committee, joins me. We talked just a few weeks ago about the fact that it's staggering 140,000 businesses
extraordinary
had their bank accounts closed in the last year. We didn't even know how many personal accounts have been closed. We will find that out at some point in the future, but let's stick to business for now. You know, I've always been a great believer that small business, new business, that's where growth comes from.
Absolutely.
At least 2/3 of jobs in the private sector work
Absolutely.
for small companies. Your report out today, and it seems to me there are two quite important categories here. One is the debanking and why it's happening, and second is that regulation's holding us back. So let's deal with the debanking to begin with. You're telling the FCA, the Financial Conduct Authority, to act. Are they going to?
Well, it is such a crucial issue, isn't it? Because, you know, small businesses have had a torrid 5 years. They had to go through the pandemic. They've had to put up with these spike in energy costs. And now in our report today, we've really spelled out how the banking sector isn't really helping our small businesses to grow either. There was a lot of help during the pandemic for businesses of all sizes, but now that we're back in more normal times, it appears as though, in many cases, the banking sector has really sort of pulled the rug out of some excellent UK businesses. So the issue that we highlighted today was around businesses that are doing perfectly legal things, in fact, things that are actually defending our country, like being in the defence industries, and they sometimes struggle to get a bank account.
Yes.
And they can have their bank account randomly closed. Oil and gas is another example, amusement arcades, you know, lots of things that are perfectly legitimate parts of the weft and weave of the UK economy are struggling to get banking facilities. So not just credit, but actual bank accounts. Now, you highlighted the issue around individual accounts. My understanding is that the government actually is the one which is going to act soonest. We're going to see some legislation.
They keep saying this, Harriet.
Yeah.
I keep hearing it, and then I have a Treasury Minister that I can talk to, and then he's gone, and somebody else comes in. I mean, I highlighted the personal. I mean, also my business was closed as well, but it was more the personal side of things. But at least we've got a debate going on this. The thing about the FCA is they seem to be terribly keen to impose upon financial institutions a whole host of diversity rules. Quite what that's got to do with them as a regulator, I don't know. But it strikes me that they don't even seem to be interested in what you've been saying. Yeah.
Well, I think we'd all agree that we want our financial services sector to be the best in the world. And that means it's got to have the best people in it. So I think there's an issue around some of the cultural factors that we've discovered in some of our other work. But what I would agree with you completely on is actually I think this is more serious than just the regulator. I think that this is that people up and down the country, some of your viewers, will have ticked the box when they choose their pension fund option to invest in environmentally, social and good governance. And it sounds like motherhood and apple pie, doesn't it? But actually what it can mean for, if a lot of shareholders do that, and they are shareholders in a big bank, it can mean that that bank then implements policies that debank a lot of things that you and I would think were absolutely essential parts of the UK economy. And I think that's what's going on. So actually there's two things here. There's an opportunity for a new bank in this country that perhaps doesn't have shareholders who do that kind of thing. So challenger banks are going to be a really good part of the solution here. Ones who can come in and say, look, we'll bank anybody who's doing something legal. And then I think there's also something that your viewers will have to think about. You know, when they're making those investment choices, are they absolutely sure that when they choose that environmental, social and governance fund, that it's not something that's going to be leading to debanking? I
mean, the returns on ESG have been very, very poor. Actually, the last few years, oils and tobaccos have been very good investments. So I think there's a move away from that. But generally, your report also mentions the regulatory burden.
Yes.
We've got a massive anti-money laundering EU regulations and directives incorporated into UK law. Nothing has changed. I mean, this is actually a Brexit failure, isn't it? We have had the opportunity, Harriet. No, but come on. We've had the opportunity. A Conservative government with an 80-seat majority could have simplified much of this. It hasn't done it.
Well, interestingly, in the alphabet soup that is financial regulation, one of the things we highlight in our report is not even from the Financial Conduct Authority, it's from the Prudential Regulation Authority, something that was set up in the aftermath of the financial crash, and they are wanting to put much higher risk on lending to small businesses. So they want to, and this is something that the Basel Committee, nothing to do with the EU, the Basel Committee is recommending. Really. Yeah. But the EU aren't going to do it. The US aren't going to do it. So I don't think the UK should be an outlier in putting much tighter credit conditions on small businesses. So that's another thing we highlight in our business report today.
Dame Harriett, keep fighting. And let's hope we want some real change.
Okay.
Now, the What the Farage moment today, there's a couple actually. One is that the AstraZeneca, the Oxford AstraZeneca COVID vaccine is now being withdrawn worldwide. Now, of course, this was hailed by Boris Johnson, the PM at the time, as a triumph for British science. And I don't doubt for a moment that everybody was genuinely trying to do their best. What really hacks me off is we've known that this vaccine and others causes some very serious side effects, even deaths in some people. It has been the complete denial of that, the fact that nobody has been held to account, that makes me so angry. And this ridiculous, and yes, I've banged on about this before, but this ridiculous COVID inquiry isn't even going to examine negative side effects until sometime next year, by which time there will probably be a different government and nobody will ever be held to account. Let's find something jolly to talk about, shall we, for a moment before the break? Well, what about this? Pubs will be able to extend their opening hours to 1 a.m. if either Scotland or England make it to the semi-finals. So let's hope we have a good run in the football. We, of course, did get through to the final last year, 2 years ago, which I attended. Sadly, we saw some of the most disgraceful scenes outside Wembley that we've ever seen at any sporting event. So, yeah, keep the pubs open, have fun, but as ever, with all of these things, try to keep it within sensible limits.